Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pest Geek podcast, Living the Wildlife. I'm Stephen Van Tassel, your host. Thank you very much for joining us. And so, we don't have a sponsor for this particular episode, but if you're interested in being a sponsor, definitely reach out to me. wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com, wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. But we're glad you're all listening here. I have a special guest. His name is Tom Kaps, and he's the owner of FlockFree Bird Control. And as you know, birds can be a blessing or a curse for your business. And we're going to talk about how that we're hoping that Tom is going to help it make it more of a blessing and that you make money and you solve problems for your clients. Tom, welcome to the Pest Geek podcast, Living the Wildlife.
Steve, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Well, all right. Well, great. We're glad to have you here in our podcast. So for our listeners, tell a little bit about yourself and your company and what you offer.
Okay, so I come from a really weird place about getting into pest control.
Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah, so I was actually a parking lot sweeper, and my biggest customer was Home Depot.
Wow.
So I used to clean parking lots for them, and then there was a lot of competition in that business, so we had to think of other things to do.
Okay.
We were fixing curbs and potholes, and if someone cut the grass, if a store got flooded, they called me for anything, and I always said yes. You know,
Okay.
A young guy hustling, they call me the craziest things. I'd show up. So one day they called me and they said, "Hey, we have a store in New Jersey, and birds are getting in the store, and our pest control guy can't figure out what to do." So I called my one of my guys working with me, who's now my partner, Paul Rosario. I called him and I said, "Hey, Paul, you got to get over to this store in Colonia, New Jersey, and figure out a way to keep the birds out." So he went over there, and we put a simple net up and solved the problem. Get a call the following week. We got another bird problem over in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Then we fixed that job. And then another call. And before you know it, we're doing a couple bird jobs a week.
Wow.
And finally, I went to Atlanta, had a meeting with the Home Depot folks. And I said, "Look, I love this. This is great. It's an opportunity, but I really don't know what I'm doing." So I said, "I'm going to learn from the ground up. Are you good with that?" And they said, "Sure." So we started buying every kind of product that was on the market. We tried everything. We tested it at Home Depot, and we can honestly figure out what worked and what didn't work.
Okay.
So I don't really have any degrees. I didn't go to school for this or take any classes. We just sort of kind of learned it, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then after a while, there were problems that I couldn't solve with traditional things that you could buy online or buy. That wasn't even online back then. It was
Right.
so
Yeah.
early. So, we were using grease instead of gel because we didn't know gel existed at the time. We were cavemen, you know? So over the next bunch of years, we kind of learned how to do bird control. And then we started making our own products. We've got a whole bunch of products we make, and we kind of developed a real practical approach to bird control. I found that early on that the bird control seemed to be like it was still in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's netting or spike, or
Right.
gelling incorrectly.
Right.
And so now, 13, 14 years later, I kind of know what I'm doing. I want to share with people because a lot of pest control companies shy away from bird control because it can be tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But I can make it easy for them, So I'm here to help them.
All right. Well, that is you have a very intriguing introduction here. So let's explore that a little bit. So let's talk about if a wildlife control operator or pest control operator comes to you, and they're like, "I know nothing about birds. I want to work with you." Where would you start them? What would you sell them first? What would you tell them to do?
And I love that because the worst thing is when I have somebody who thinks they know what they're doing.
Okay.
So, for instance, my national sales guy who works for me now was working for another company out in California, and he called me up with a problem on an IRS building of all places. And I told him, "You need to do A, B, and C to solve this problem." And he called me 2 weeks later and said, "It's not working." I said, "Well, did you do A, B, and C?" He goes, "No, I did A and B." I said, "Well, you got to do C. You have to do all three or it doesn't work." He went back and did all three and they work. And now he's working for me. We kept that relationship grew to the point where now he's working for me. So if a guy calls me out of the blue, first thing I suggest is describe the problem. If you could send me a picture or two or Google Earth, most times I can get them started on the right procedure because the basic bird control is very simple. Basic stuff is very easy.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a very simple approach. What we do is we believe we can train birds. So we give them a novel object with a consequence. And the novel object consequence is based on the fact that most birds that we deal with are birds that are part of the food chain. Okay. So they're always afraid to get eaten, basically.
Right.
So we give them something novel, whether it's one of our flock reflectors or UV paint or whatever it is, some kind of visual. And if you give them some kind of consequence, whether it be gel or shock tape or a hazer or whatever it is, they learn to stay away, and we can really teach them. We really learned how to master that.
Okay, well then let's explore that a little bit more. And so, what are some of the, let's say for a big box store, they're having birds up on the parapet around the top. What would be your? How would you begin?
So if it's on the parapet, typically we'll get a call for birds sitting on signage.
Yep. Okay.
A lot of people, there's multiple ways of doing it. A lot of people will spike the signs, but then they don't spike the parapet above the sign.
Right.
So what happens, they'll do the letters and they don't do the parapet, and the birds land on the parapet and poop on your spikes.
Right. Right.
And the other thing is then they'll use these plastic spikes that are very visible. So the two things that people screw up the most, believe it or not, are spikes and gel.
Spikes and gel.
If you use a good quality stainless steel spike, you don't see that from below. As long as you cover the whole surface and you understand what spikes are for. Spikes are meant to keep birds from landing from flight. So if you spike a ledge and there's another ledge 10 feet away above it, they'll just flutter down very gently and land on that spike. So you have to spike all the levels up and down, left and right. And because what happens is if you think of it, a lot of times we're dealing with birds that are resident birds. So it's like kicking somebody out of their house.
Right,
they live in this place, So to kick them out, you have to kind of understand that they're not going to want to leave right away. So spiking works well, but you have to do it correctly. And then gelling works great if you know how to do it.
So you like gelling. So I'm intrigued by the gelling because I'll be frank with you, I'm not a big fan of gelling. So I know. And this is perfect. I call it the goo. And so, but anyway, so you're going to have to, so I'm intrigued with that. So hold that thought for a moment. Let's talk about spikes first.
Okay.
So you like stainless steel spikes.
Yes.
When I hear the word stainless steel spikes, I'm thinking of one of the competitors that you may have out of Missouri. Do you build your own, or do you use someone else's stainless steel spike?
Well, we actually have invented a spike that's actually adjustable. So I can take I can demonstrate it for you if you want to.
Yeah, show it. Show our viewers. Absolutely, I'd love to see it.
Let me get it. Hold on.
Because birds are not my thing, so I'm intrigued by. So I'm always loving to learn new things here.
Okay.
Cool.
So
okay.
What happens? Can you see the spike?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So what happens in the real world is if a guy goes to a job site, he may have to carry 3-inch spikes, 5-inch spikes, 8-inch spikes.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
This looks like a typical spike when you look at it.
Yeah.
The difference with our spike is that we can take an 8-inch spike and turn it into a 5-inch spike, a 2-inch spike, or a straight.
Oh, so you can adjust the angle.
You can adjust the angle of it. So we can actually turn it into a barrier if we want as well.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's clever.
We can bend it this way. We can bend it this way. So what's nice about this spike, it's the only spike you'll probably ever need. And what we also did was the center spike is taller than the typical spike. So it works both with big birds and small birds. So that's one where we solve the big problems. If a guy buys our spikes, he doesn't have to worry about how wide is the ledge, So we kind of take some of the
amazing. So will that do house sparrows too, or is it just starlings and pigeons?
It depends on the ledge and the width of it.
Okay.
So we can close them up and make them really tiny, and then you just have to double it to make sure you cover the entire width.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, that is amazing. Now, what does that cost per foot retail?
We sell it into distribution, like a pest control guy will call up and buy it.
Yeah.
$2.05 a foot.
$2.05 a foot. Okay.
Yeah, which is
and are you installing that does it have an ability to install with screws and adhesive, or is it just adhesive?
Yeah, if you can see, I don't know if you can see there's holes.
Yeah, we can see it. Okay, you got a hole there.
You can also glue it down.
Also glue it down.
And you can snap this to the length that you want. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what, a 3-foot section?
That's a 3-foot section, yes.
3-foot section. Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, great. All right. Well, I have not seen that before, so I love learning that. Oh, keep going.
Number one. Now let's go to the gel, because I love it.
Go to gel.
Around on the gel. Okay.
Convert me here.
I will try to convert you. So,
okay.
And I learned this the hard way too. My
first
gel job when I was about 25 was a disaster.
Right.
But I gave it to one of my guys. He put too much gel down. Birds got stuck. It was.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. So anyway, we learned quick. So first of all, when you buy a tube of gel, it doesn't matter what gel you buy, they tell you to put it on in a zigzag fashion.
Right.
If you put gel, so you do a zigzag fashion, you get about 10 feet per tube. And what happens is that pattern will settle. It's overdone. You don't need that much gel.
Okay.
And also, what you have to remember is these polybutane gels or those gels that you spray that include polybutane, that's overkill. Because what happens is typically the birds that we deal with in a setting, like a retail setting or an industrial setting, they're like cliff-dwelling, tree-dwelling birds.
Right.
So as long as it's a little gooey, they don't like it. It doesn't have to be so sticky that they get stuck. So we have an all-natural gel that's uncomfortable but not sticky, but still holds its shape. So that's the first key. You don't need really sticky stuff.
All right.
So you would never use gel on a duck or a seagull because they're used to walking around in the muck and the yuck. They could care less about a little gel, you know?
Okay.
Because they're tough. So that's the first thing. So how we apply gels, we put a dot the size of my thumb, tip of my thumb, every 3 inches. That'll get you 30 feet of gel.
Oh.
Okay, that's the first
one.
Love that. 30 feet of gel.
Okay.
Now, the next step is we have a visual with a consequence. So we have UV paint that comes in a dauber, like a bingo dauber. And it comes, it's like 4 ounces and you daub dots. It gets you about 100 feet per dauber. So I put a dot of gel every 3 inches. Then a dot of UV paint every 3 inches in between the dot of gel. Okay. So now what happens is the birds come up and they see the UV paint, and many times they just avoid the area for a while. But if they get brave, they never land on the paint. They always land in the gel. And they learn right away to associate the purple that they see with the gel. So what we've done now is we've taken the gel, which is typically a contact irritant repellent.
Right.
We've turned it into a visual with a consequence. And what happens is when you put dots of gel the size of your thumb, an egg shape up there, interior, they'll last for 4 or 5 years, even in a dusty environment.
Right.
You would never gel outside in the sun, obviously.
Right. So you don't gel outside in the sun if it has. So if you're in an overhang, protected from sun, how many years are you looking to get outdoors?
3 years outdoors, 4 to 5 indoors.
3 to 4 years.
And what people have to realize why the gel doesn't work outside, it'll last a little. Like if you were to gel like a parapet of a building that was like a concrete. You could put some sealer on it. You could gel. The gel lasts a while up there, you know? Yeah. Because because what happens is the sun beats down on the gel and heats the gel from the top. Right. Metal surface heats it from the bottom and the top. It turns into a liquid and runs. Gotcha. The worst thing you want to do is have that stuff run because all the dirt sticks and you've created a disaster. You know? So for an outdoor application, use shock tape or something else, you know. But gel inside is the easiest thing on the planet. So, for instance, if I go to a gigantic facility, 100,000 square foot place, and the guy goes, "What are we going to do?" Well, we could net it for $200,000. And the guy goes, "Oh, he chokes on that number right away." That's not really bird, and that's not really bird control because so if I net the very top, the birds are just going to drop down to the next level, and the racking and the pipes on the side. So that's not bird control. That's just moving birds, you know. Right. So we like to have an integrated approach where we kind of do 2 or 3 things to really get a bird control program. Gotcha. So if we have this big area, the first thing I tell the guys, okay, well, give me 5 spots or 4 spots where you don't want to see poop anymore. And he gives me 4 or 5 spots, and I'll go up and I'll gel and UV paint it. It takes, my guys could do, a couple of guys, even untrained, can do probably like a Home Depot garden center. Right. Complete garden center, 2 nights, 2 guys. Okay.
It's not bad. Just that's a pretty big area. Those garden centers are pretty big.
Yeah, and now that you know, a tube of gel will get you 30 feet and 100 feet for the dauber. You just kind of measure you know exactly how much material you need. So even quoting the job becomes easy. You know? Right. So we get this big facility. I'll gel and UV paint the top of these different areas. And we have a special spray we can talk about, and I spray over the top of it. Okay. And what happens is the birds immediately stop sitting in those areas. Okay. And they'll move to another area for sure before they leave the building. Right. But now the guy says, okay, well, I see this cost me $3,500 to do these 5 spots, and it's working great. Now I can take the next 3 or 4 spots and do that. And in the meantime, I try to sell you, look, we're going to spray we have a spray. Yeah. Every 3 weeks we come and spray. We come spray, harass the birds, continue to add gel, maybe do some mist netting. It's a whole program, you know, when we concentrate on dead air spaces where they reproduce and like to hang out and loaf. Yeah. It's a whole program that you kind of tie together, but it all starts with gel and UV paint or some spikes. Gel. Okay. So the gel works great for us. We've never had a bird caught in it. We've never had anything drip on anybody. Yeah. As long as you do the dots and do the dotting method, it works fantastic. And anybody could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how large of an area? So you said the size of your thumb. So we're looking at what? Probably a square inch or so.
Yeah, and the dauber is about a square inch too once you push it down.
Yeah. And so so that protects an area, a radius around that of what, an inch or 2?
Yeah, what we do is if it's a wider ledge, just dots every 3 inches spread apart.
Gotcha. Make a little
So
grid.
one of the latest rages now, I don't know if your listeners know, or maybe you know, they have these little plastic cups with the gel inside, the Opti-Gel stuff.
Yes,
And they glue the cups into place, and they spread them every 3 inches. So the bird, same principle, gel and UV paint, same thing. I've been doing this for years. So all of a sudden I see these plastic cups with the gel coming out. I'm laughing. It's the same thing. They got to put the cups so close that the birds can't do nothing, can't hang out.
Right.
But each cup is $3. So if you do the math, it becomes tremendously expensive.
And so how are you prepping the surface so you don't have because I had a very bad experience with gel. I was at a job where I had to clean someone else's gel that they put on, and it was a gooey. It was unbelievable. Here I am scraping, and I was in a training event, so I'm glad I didn't have to get it right. But I got horrified by that. So how are you prepping your surface?
Well, if there's somebody else's gel up there that's gone wrong, you do use denatured alcohol, and that'll cut right through it for the most part.
I didn't have that. That's for sure.
Still a pain in the neck to do. Yeah. Our gel comes right off with a hand towel if you needed to. Okay. And so when we put the dots, we can leave that stuff alone for years. And even if it's dusty, what's cool about creating an egg-shaped gel dot is that even if it gets covered with dust, a bird still hits it, it still goes through the dust and gets into the gel. Gotcha. And the UV paint inside will last forever. Mm-hmm. And we have our spray that we spray that also has UV in it. And an interior space, that doesn't disappear either. It's like a dot.
Right.
So we train those birds to see purple and stay away.
Okay, so you don't even have to bother putting a little because I tell people to put a little plastic tape down, which allows them to then just remove that tape and pull the gel with it, or put a board down.
Our stuff wipes off with just a paper towel. Very simple, real simple. No, okay. not a problem. It comes off your hands real easy, no problem.
And is it a petroleum pot? Is it a petroleum product like the other stuff, or what are you using for your? What's the? Do you have an ingredient list?
It's like a vegetable-based grease.
Oh,
and we have a little peppermint in it, so it has a little bit of a pepper. Really, it's all natural. It's we call it a surface protectant gel. It's a 25B product.
25B, okay.
Yeah, everything that we do is pretty much 25B. Okay. There's one product we use that has EPA registration. Everything else that we've come up with is all 25B, and it works great.
That is amazing. I guess. What's next? All right. So if that's phase one, what's the next phase?
So phase one is gel and UV paint. Pretty easy to do. So imagine an outdoor restaurant scenario. Okay. Where you have like a roof, seating underneath, bushes and trees and grass around it. Birds are staging in the bushes and trees. They fly in, they land on the beams, and they come steal the food. We can eliminate beams up on top of the gel and UV paint. So we have a product that we've come up with a few years ago called the FlockFree Tank Mix. And what it is, it's an all-natural spray. It has all kinds of natural oils in it. And it also has some grape pumice in it. So we get a little bit of that grape stuff in it that everybody knows the birds don't like. So it also has nano. So I work with a guy in New Jersey. He's a world-renowned chemist. He makes all this stuff for me because I'm not that bright, okay? I used to drive around in a sweeper truck, right? So I went to this guy. I said, look, I need a spray that'll chase the birds away. He goes, I got something I made 10 years ago. So we talked about what I needed it to do. Right. And I have a spray that I can spray, and you can spray on any surface: bushes, trees, concrete, wood, tiles. We get rid of woodpeckers. We get rid of everything with this stuff. Geese, ducks. And I have a couple stories to tell you about that. But you spray this stuff on her, it'll last for 3 weeks. And it has nanotechnology, a little bit of surfactant in it, so it sticks to things, and it repels birds for about 3 weeks. We have a second. So for a homeowner, we just sell them a little kit. So 4-ounce kit with some stickers. So if you put, say the birds are hanging around your house, certain spots, you put a couple of stickers up, you spray the area with the stuff that you mix, and then the birds learn to stay away and they're afraid of the stickers.
So it's just hooked up to like a garden hose?
This is a 4-ounce dauber. You put, you mix it with 4 ounces, make 2 gallons of usable product.
Okay. And it's just a Spitzer bottle?
You can use a Windex bottle.
Oh, okay.
It's real simple.
Okay.
Just shake it, spray it, that easy.
Wow.
And it'll last for about 3 weeks, and then spray it again. And what we do is we tell people, if you're going to use the tank mix, you do it 3 weeks in a row, and once a month. If after 3 weeks they're still being stubborn, you go 4 weeks in a row, then once a month. And it works dynamite. So the residential kit is just the concentrate and some stickers, because we got to keep it simple for people, For grandma, keep it simple. Somebody's attacking their trees or something. The commercial kit, you get a gallon of the concentrate, which makes 55 gallons of usable material. Mm-hmm. Then we give 2 pints of a product called Invisidye. And the Invisidye is something that you mix in with the concentrate, and whatever you spray looks purple to the birds. Because birds have fish-shaped eyes.
Okay.
So they see UV.
Right.
And they identify each other with the UV, like a hawk will I'm telling you guys all know this problem.
Sure.
So they'll hunt rodents by following the urine trail, which has UV in it and things like that.
Oh, did not know that. So I learned something new there. I'll have to look that up. Okay.
Yes. How we learned that was, you remember there used to be a product out there. There's a product out there now for geese. It's called Migrate. And the Migrate, they mix it with the Invisidye.
Right.
So we do the same thing. We mix the Migrate with our product, and it does the same thing. So how the tank mix works, it's microencapsulated. So what happens is when you spray it on, say for geese, you'd spray it on the grass. The geese come, it gives off vapors, so it irritates them that way. If they eat it, it tastes like crap. They learn that way. And then plus it's purple because we had the Invisidye to it.
Right.
So we can take that same principle and do parking garages, sides of buildings, bushes, trees. So to come back to the restaurant scenario, we do the gel and UV paint anywhere we don't want birds to land above the folks. Then we take the tank mix and we spray it on top of the paint, UV paint and the gel. And then we do all the bushes, the trees, the concrete. We turn the whole place into purple. Anytime they come near the purple, it's irritating. And then if it's a really bad problem, say the birds have habituated to the restaurant, they know to come in at breakfast or lunch. It's amazing. They'll come in, they'll show up at 11:30 for 12 o'clock.
Sure. They get conditioned. Absolutely. Yeah, just like us, right?
So we'll do is we'll say, hey, get some French fries and dip it into the concentrate, but don't use the Invisidye. Throw them some food out there, one spot in the corner.
Yeah.
Let them eat this nasty food. And all of a sudden the food tastes like crap. They land on something and we just condition them to go away. We had a Hooters restaurant in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
The place was getting killed with seagulls and grackles and sparrows and starlings. It was an outdoor restaurant.
Right.
And we worked with Orkin on this job. And they were trying all kinds of crazy stuff. They had the eagle eyes going, they had the flock reflectors going, a lot of visuals, but there was no consequence. Like all those things are great visuals, but you have to have a consequence. So we started, added the gel and UV paint where we could, sprayed, told the manager, look, this is not going to go away tomorrow because they've been doing this for 3 years or more. Wow. Give it a month and a half, 2 months. We'll call you back and see what happens. A couple months later, they said it was 85, 90% better. And then it's just a matter of being consistent with it. Mm-hmm. Don't stop. Because what happens is a lot of things that we do with tank mix or a lot of the other products that you put in the air, the warmer it is, the more effective it is. So if you're going to start something, you want to start it spring, summer, fall, because those winter months when it gets really cold, it's not going to be as effective. But then you train those birds to sort of stay away, and then you kick it back off in the spring, summer, fall.
Right. Okay.
If you start something in January up here in the Northeast where it's 10 below zero, it doesn't matter what you spray. It's not going to vaporize so good. It's going to freeze up. It's a different game. Florida's beautiful year round. You know?
Sure. No, absolutely. So let's transition a little bit into the marketing side, because you've already given our listeners a couple of strategies that certainly if I'm, I've been in this business for a long time. I'm not doing the field work. I'm not suggesting that, but I've seen and heard a lot. So this is definitely a different approach that people have. And so how does a business owner get started in terms of marketing this? Would you help them start with residential areas and just start getting comfortable with it? And how would you
what happens is most pest control companies are built and then eventually sold, or the goal is to build up routes. Yeah. So you hire guys, they're running a route. So typically what's happened in the past is if you have your routes going and someone comes along with a bird control job and say it requires a netting for 3 days of 2 guys, they don't have the people to assign to the work because they don't have people just sitting around. So what I did a few years ago, I recognized that. I said, I've talked to many guys and they get a bird job, they just ignore it. They don't even call the customer back because they don't have the people, they don't have the knowledge. They've done it a couple of times, screwed it up.
Yeah.
So what I tried to do is I tried to simplify things. So the gel and UV paint's simple. The spray is simple. Everybody, the guys are spraying stuff already. In Miami, I got them spraying this water-based mosquito spray with the bird spray at one time at the same time. You get like a double whammy, Nice. So what we do is we encourage people, if you get a bird control job, you're not sure, call me. Mm-hmm. Email me. Give me a brief description, send me a couple pictures, and I will set you on the path. If it's
All right.
something more crazy, we can actually do it for them.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit in terms of take this opportunity to tell our listeners how to get in touch with you. So do it slow, do it a couple of times, and so they may be able to pull. So pull over, everyone, if you're driving. Don't do this on the road.
Yes,
Get ready for the information on how to contact them. So go ahead.
This is really simple. It's admin@flockfree.com. Admin@flockfree.com. And we have a bunch of videos on YouTube under FlockFree 1, but you can always call me, and my cell phone number is 732-433-4003. And I get calls all the time from different folks, and I walk from A to Z. I can tell, hey, have you never done this before? I can tell them how many hours it's going to take. Is it a good bit, a crazy bit? How to do the cleaning if they need. I can walk them through A to Z. We even sometimes, if it's a bigger job, and say it's a multi-location pest control company, sometimes we'll just send one guy to help them do the first couple jobs so they learn, use our products the right way, and then we teach them. And then when they're comfortable doing their own thing, they don't need us anymore. Yeah, and we just teach them how to do it the right way.
I think that's so important, and let me reiterate that for our listeners. I want our listeners, because a lot of our listeners are single-man operations or single-person operations, and I want you to hear that carefully. If you're able to sell a job and you don't think that you have the manpower to do it, listen to what Tom is saying here. They will come out and you can sell it and probably get a commission, work out the business. It's not by business to how that all works. The point is that contact them, sell the job, make something, learn something, and expand your business. And that's something you certainly want to explore. So get away from the idea of saying no. Call first before you say no.
Yeah, I recently did an hour presentation for the New York Wildlife Control Association.
Okay.
Now I'm going to be doing more of those because I really enjoy it. The guys are always so nice, and give me an hour. I'm there for 3.5 hours. Right. And just that one meeting, maybe there's 60 guys there. I'm working with 3 or 4 of them now.
There you go.
Just send me pictures, tell me what's up. I help them do it. And what I tell people too is, look, this is a job that you get. I will show you how to do it, how to sell it. Mm-hmm. I can do it for you. I can even talk to your customer on the phone and provide I'm your bird control expert. I'm the guy. I do all the talking if you need me to, and teach you as I teach the customer. And we guarantee everything that we don't sell anything that doesn't work. I don't sell. I don't sell any no wells and whistle sonic nets. We have real technology that works, and we can pretty much solve almost any problem. And we know that it's a multitude of things that always work.
Yeah, and I think I'm a believer, and I truly believe this. I think that people can sell, because I don't consider myself a salesman, but what I've learned is when I believe in something, I can sell it. And I think part of the challenge is that wildlife control operators tend to be a fairly honest bunch, and they don't want to sell their customers something they don't think will work.
Well, pest control guys, like wildlife control guys, are very similar to farmers.
Yeah, they're very conservative.
If you bullshit a farmer one time,
that's correct.
You're absolutely
correct.
For life.
That's true. That is so true. I couldn't agree more.
All the truth, right? If you tell the truth, I had a guy call me a few months back, and we have this nice little thing that we use for seagulls. It's a flock reflector. It spins in the wind, and all it does is make the seagulls poop over here instead of here. That's all it does. And we don't advertise it any other way, So then it works. They go from here to here. Maybe this is where the boat is. You don't care if they poop over here. That's what it does. So a guy called me up and he wanted to buy 80 pieces. They're like $30 a piece, like $35 a piece. You want to buy 80 of them? I said, what are you doing with it? I got a building in New York City. I'm going to put them on the windowsills. I'm going, no. So the whole neighborhood will hate you. Your tenants will hate you. You'll hate me.
Right.
It's not going to work. So we gave him some alternatives that were cheaper and that were easier for him to do.
Right.
So so that's the difference. There's a lot of websites out there. You see these crazy things they sell.
Oh, I know.
And you buy it and they don't work and they won't return. So if someone buys something from me and it doesn't work, I'll give you your money back. But I'll tell you ahead of time what it's going to do. Are you doing it correctly? And as long as you follow what I tell you to do, you're going to have the product. Every product we sell does something. If you mix 2 or 3 of them together, each different something irritates the birds, hopefully to move them away. If you only buy one, it's going to do something, but it may not do all the things you want it to do.
Right. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time here, but I want to give our listeners one more crack at your contact information, and I would love to have you back because I have a suspicion that you've only touched the surface of the products that you have.
And I was going to ask you, I would love to come back and
let's
some questions. Do the whole
chat.
thing, you know?
We'll have you back. But before we leave, I want you to be sure to give us your name, your company, your contact info again one more time for our listeners.
Absolutely. You can reach me at admin@flockfree.com. My name is Tom Kaps, and our phone number is my cell phone number is 732-433-4003. And I follow the most important basic business lesson that there is. If someone calls you, takes the time to call you, I will call you back.
Well, that's an amazing thing. Tom, we want to thank you so much for doing it. I've learned some stuff today, and so I'm intrigued, and I would love to hear back from our listeners what their experience.
I've got a gel convert here. Now, guys,
I'll tell you, I'm shocked because I was definitely not a goo man, and so I'm going to have to reprocess this in my life. So my world has been little shifted here, a paradigm shift.
Awesome.
So I'm very intrigued because we have some situation. I live in Montana, if you didn't know, but we have some businesses here in our state that I think could definitely benefit from this. But I want to kind of wrap it up. So, hey, everyone, thanks for listening to Living the Wildlife. I'm Stephen Van Tassel. Love to hear from you. Give us your comments, even your criticisms. Not admin. Wildlife Control Consultant at gmail.com. Wildlife Control Consultant at gmail.com. And remember, everyone, thanks for listening to the Pest Geek podcast. If you're interested in being on the show, definitely drop me a note. We'd love to chat about how to get you on here. And then lastly, criticisms, comments, and then if you're interested in being a sponsor of our show, definitely reach out to me. And remember, everyone, this is Living the Wildlife because we don't want you to be the wildlife. So thanks for listening. Bye, everyone. Till next time.